Life? No problem. To start talking about life, first we have to start at the beginning. Stuff. All throughout the universe, there are fields. And fields aren't stuff, but they're like everywhere. When one of these quantum fields gets excited, stuff happens. Imagine it like a string on a guitar. Normally you just have a string and silence. But if you pluck the string, you've created something, a note. That note is like a particle. So anyway, a bunch of quantum fields get excited and stuff comes into being. And that stuff has different properties, like charge. And things with different charges and other properties fit together kind of like a puzzle piece. That's how we get atoms and molecules. Now the thing is, nothing fits together perfectly. Some things fit together better than others. And in general, molecules and atoms will try to rearrange themselves in a way that fits best. That's how we get chemical reactions. So fields get excited to create stuff, stuff creates atoms and molecules want to fit together. I am simplifying a lot here, but bear with me. So over time, stuff interacts with more stuff to create more molecules to create more unique chemical reactions. And these create more and more complex molecules that fit together better. But sometimes, to fit together in the right way, a molecule has to cut a part of itself off. And then you get left with two new substances, the waste from the original molecule and whatever the new molecule that fit together was. And that waste molecule can interact with something else and make a new molecule. And this can happen in cycle. And eventually, enough chemical reactions happened that they basically looped back on themselves. A set of molecules and chemical reactions was made that when they reacted with each other, they ended up with something very similar to their starting bits. And so these molecules interacted in such a way that they made more of themselves. Unfortunately, it is a big and large and chaotic world out there, and there's lots and lots of stuff that could interact and interfere with this chemical reaction. And if the wrong stuff interacts with it, then you don't get more of the starting molecule. The starting molecule doesn't replicate. So a lot of these chemical reactions die, but some continue on. Some found supporting chemical reactions that could basically act as defense. And so more and more chemical structures were built around this reaction. Those chemical structures became more complex and once again preserved the cycle that allowed the original molecule to recreate itself. Eventually, this molecular machinery gets complex enough that we get the cell. And cells survive on their own for a bit until they realize that there's things that can interfere with their replication process. And so eventually cells start grouping together and get specialized functions. And then we get multicellular organisms. Multi- and single-celled organisms grow and evolve due to natural selection. Because again, there's a lot of random stuff that can happen to interfere with their chemical processes, but sometimes it's good, and that's a beneficial mutation. This causes diverging evolutionary lines in species, such as aquatic life forms, and then life forms that climbed up onto land, birds, reptiles, mammals, and eventually human beings. Some animals, including humans, realize that it's better to work together to survive. Humans discover a way to chronicle knowledge from past generations, and all of that eventually added up to this video on TikTok. All because fields created stuff that wanted to fit together. That's all that life is.